Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I'm actually going to be reviewing the new Revlon Photo Ready Insta-Filter foundation. So it is a little different than a usual foundation that we're all used to because of the little like spongy top. I guess it's supposed to be kind of like its own beauty blender in a way. I don't know. I have not tried it. I have just twisted the bottom just to kind of color match a little bit, but this is actually the lightest shade that my drugstore had, which this shade is 150 Buff. So I'm hoping it's not too dark for me. So on Revlon's website, they actually have 12 foundation shades, which I guess isn't too bad. And this actually retails at my Walgreens that I got it at $18. $18 for a drugstore foundation seems a little steep to me, so I kept the receipt because if I really don't like it, I'm taking it back. So what this foundation is claiming is that it has a built-in blender so you have a perfected makeup look anytime, anywhere. Our innovative formula works with your skin type and evens and smooths your skin tone to leave you with a fresh-faced natural finish. And it's saying it has a full range of high-definition shades. I don't know, like I said, I just took a complete guess with this shade, so I'm crossing my fingers, and I don't know. It looks dark. So let's go ahead and jump into this video. I already washed and moisturized my face as well as primed it. So I do have a wet beauty blender, a damp beauty blender ready to go, but I'm gonna do like one side of my face with the sponge that it has on it, and then the other side with my own damp beauty blender. As you can see, it's just coming up out of the top just like that when I spin the bottom. So let's see how this goes. The little sponge applicator it's what's the right words to use for this? It isn't great, but it isn't terrible. You know what I mean? Like, it's doable if you needed, if you didn't have anything handy, I suppose. But I think I'm gonna like using my beauty blender better. I actually feel like swiping it is blending it in a little better than just like pouncing it. The color match is almost like perfect. So I'm not mad at the color, at the shade of it at all. So let's go ahead and do the other side with the beauty blender. Okay, so what I'm noticing with the beauty blender is that it blends much better, much easier, much faster. It is not as, like, it took away a little bit of the coverage, but I ain't mad at that. I don't like, you know, a ton of foundation. So I'm actually just gonna run the beauty blender across the other side of my face. First impressions of this foundation, it is really, really beautiful. It has a skin-like finish to it. It's not real thick and cakey. I can still see my freckles. I do want to test this out to see if it's buildable, even though that ain't my thing, but I'm gonna do it for y'all. Okay, so let's go ahead. But I am gonna use my beauty blender for the rest of the time being. So I'm gonna go ahead and pounce some more on my face and see if it's buildable. Okay, so even with a second layer of this foundation, I can still see my freckles. So to me, it's a medium coverage foundation. It seems to look a little dry, like in my nose area, but nothing too bad. It's not really accentuating anything. Even my big old wrinkle across my forehead, it's not like really getting in there and making it look worse than it already is. I'm impressed. First impression, I am impressed with this foundation. Holy moly, we might have a winner on our hands, even though it's an $18 foundation from the drugstore. So I'm gonna do the rest of my makeup, concealer, powder, all that jazz, and then come back. I'm planning on having a pretty late night tonight. It's UFC fight night tonight, so I did want to give you a time check. So right now it is 2:47, and I want to do a time check before I go out tonight And then probably when I get back, I wanted to give a good 8-hour wear test, if not a little bit longer. So yeah, I'll be back in a couple of hours and we'll see how this foundation is wearing. Okay, so I am back and it is currently 5:22. This is going to be a really short check-in because it looks the same. It looks exactly the same as when I put it on at almost 3 hours. We're getting close to the 3-hour mark. It looks beautiful. I am flippin' shocked, y'all, for real. I really, really am. It is gorgeous. This is a quick, easy, short check-in, and I will be back after this evening and give my final check-in and my final thoughts. Okay, so I am back for my final check-in, and it is actually 1:17 in the morning. I am tired. I honestly have one word for this foundation. Wow. I'm not even kidding. I am blown away by this foundation. I mean, I'll be honest, it has done the normal kind of stuff. I mean, we're at the 10.5-hour mark. I personally never wear foundation this long, but for 10.5 hours, you know, I'm in shock. It has gotten into my forehead wrinkles and accentuated those, which I'm used to that with foundations because my forehead wrinkles are insane because I'm just a very expressive person. As I talk, there goes my forehead. The sides of my nose is another big issue for me, so it has kind of gotten a little bit cakey in there, but a lot of times on the sides of my nose, foundations will break up there like really bad, or I'll get really oily, really greasy. It just does not look good there at all, but it is not bad at all. I did use an oil control primer, so I think that's probably what's helping me from staying oily, but I do that with when I do my makeup on an everyday basis, or at least when I do wear makeup. So I don't feel excessively oily, or it just looks so good. I'm just starting to notice just like my smile lines peeking through a little bit, but at the 10.5-hour mark, it doesn't look perfect, of course, but wearing a foundation and your makeup this long, it's very rarely gonna look just still flawless as when you put it on. So for it being the 10.5-hour mark, it looks so good. This is like a 5-star, 10-star foundation for me, even though it's $18 from the drugstore, but I will say it is worth it. So this is the end of this 10.5-hour foundation wear test, and I give it a thumbs up, and I think it's definitely worth the money. So if you liked this video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it, and I will see you guys on my next one. Thanks for watching.